alternately, it may be someone who's showing up, a fire sign potentially, who has this archetype. So this could be a friend, a mother, a sister, a boss, who is this sort of confident, brash, bold, driven, action-oriented person. But she's there to support you and serve you, and she's there to sort of like help you with whatever you're doing. But I'm kind of seeing it more as you, Taurus, is like getting things done, like feeling bold, confident, sunny. So that's a nice energy to open the month on. I see 3 of coins in reverse here, and I also see Hermit in reverse. And and 3 of cups here, 2 threes, which is social, creative, collaborative usually. Both of these cards have to do with groups of people. So this is usually group projects, getting things done, working away at something that is creative or produces money. You can see that this worker is working on a castle or a church here. It usually has to do with people working together to accomplish something. And this 3 of Cups is about celebration. So friends or family, like-minded people, and celebrating people who have a similar heart to you. But with these in the reverse, and with Hermit in the reverse, I'm kind of seeing this is you here in the center, surrounded by these group dynamics, and they're all in reverse. So what it's telling me is that this may be more of a solitary time for you, Taurus, at the beginning of the month. It might be more of you like taking charge and sort of leading the pack or leading the group, or actually just even leading and having your own authority in your own life. I'm seeing with Hermit here in reverse and surrounded by these other 2 cards in reverse that, group dynamics may not necessarily be featured at the beginning of October. It might be more of a solitary time, you looking for the truth of the matter. I can also see this as feeling lonely within the crowd. So if you do have like social obligations or like parties that you have to go to or work events or things that are normally festive and social, that you're just kind of like, I don't really want to be here. I want to be focusing on what I want to get done. I just want to be thinking my own thoughts and dreaming my own dreams and doing my own thing, especially with that full moon in Aries. Your dreams are really going to be featured at the beginning of October here. So if you feel like you're being pulled into these social settings or groups, or that you're not fully invested in a way that you might ordinarily be, that's okay. Just let it be a focus on you for a little bit. Don't let this feeling of sort of being outside of things in any way diminish, your vision, your authority, your leadership, your courage and determination and boldness right now. That's all fine. I mean, you don't necessarily have to be in this social. It may just play a lower part than it does normally for you at the beginning of October. In the middle of the month, I see there's some swords energy here. And this means I'm kind of seeing that someone's running away from something here. This is 7 of Swords, and it's usually someone who is trying to get away with something. It's usually someone who's got a very me attitude, and they cut corners, or they take risks, or they break the rules. Sometimes this card is called putting your head in the tiger's mouth. And I don't necessarily see this as you. I'm actually seeing this one more as you, Taurus, that these cards are kind of related. This is the 7 and the 8 of Swords. They follow one another. They sit right next to one another. And this is someone taking advantage of a situation. And this is someone feeling paralyzed and powerless because they think that someone has taken something away from them. What I usually point out in this card is that it's really a matter of belief, because swords represent ideas, thoughts, belief, knowledge. And she actually has a clear path to walk out of this. She thinks that she's powerless because that's what she's believing. She's believing in all these swords containing her and making her captive. But really, she could pull this blindfold off, cut the binds on any of these swords, and have a clear path out. But she's kind of giving into this thought that someone has taken something away. So I'm going to encourage you in the middle of the month, Taurus, if you are feeling victim mentality, or if you're feeling bound up or captive or powerless in some way because of someone else's actions, I'm going to invite you to look at it differently, because that's why it's in reverse here, is that you may be letting fear, doubt, or resistance, some sort of I'm getting resistance, really, like saying, I can't believe this is happening. No, I don't want this to be happening. It's actually interesting the way these are lining up. There's like even more swords. It's really like overthinking. And that could even just be part of what's coming through, is that over analysis really ties you up, makes you feel powerless in the situation, like a captive, like a prisoner. So a couple different ways to read that is, don't be a prisoner to your own thoughts. Your belief system, your thoughts, is what will determine your experience here. I want to encourage you that you always have the power to walk away. You always have the power to free yourself. It's only your belief in thinking of yourself as a captive that keeps you there. She can leave anytime she wants. So don't allow someone else's shady actions to make you feel powerless in the middle of the month, Taurus. That's what that's saying to me. You actually have a lot of loving energy around you here. This is King of Cups, and this is someone who is the ideal partner. This is a man who comes from the heart. He's compassionate, he's loving, he's tenderhearted, he's thoughtful, sensitive. He considers the feelings of others in all of his interactions, and he's also very emotionally balanced and grounded himself. So I sometimes call this the ideal partner, like the perfect husband or the perfect boyfriend, the man of the heart. So, he's the King of Cups, the King of Hearts. So he's showing up here for you. And now, whether this is you or this is someone that you're interacting with, he's really on your side, and he's really wants to be helpful and supportive and loving. So that is a wonderful card. Keep the focus here instead of here. Like, I'm actually seeing there could be two people here. One who is totally not worth your time or investment of thought, and then someone who's very open-hearted and loving and kind. So make wise decisions there, Taurus. Be careful about where you put your mental energy, because potentially you could be binding yourself up with thoughts of victim mentality or powerlessness that you don't need to do. You can be experiencing interaction with this person. And I actually see too that this card being related here, this is the wish fulfillment card. This is the satisfaction card. This card is about wish fulfillment, satisfaction, sensual pleasures. It's sort of like the I've got it all card. Or I always think of bed and table when I see this card. It's like someone who's just eaten a big feast. They're very satisfied in every way, and it's sort of like a wish coming true. They're very happy. They're very content. But they can't get here. This person can't experience this, even with this person who's loving and wants to give them more heart energy, more cups, because they're too bound up in their head. They're too worried, anxious, thinking about things, that keeping thoughts around them that immobilize them, that they can't experience this wish, this satisfaction. These are almost like polar opposites in some ways. The wish fulfillment and feeling totally victimized. Having nothing and being stripped of what you do have to, here I've got all my wine on display here. This is, I've got everything I want. So having wishes fulfilled. This is more like having wishes dashed. So be careful mid-month. What I'm getting from this, Taurus, is be careful where you put your attention. If you keep your attention on someone's poor behavior, this is where you end up. Instead, free yourself and focus on the love that's coming at you. Someone who is supportive and caring and compassionate, they're there. And potentially if you turn this around, you could also turn this around. So that's your invitation for the middle of October. And in fact, it's funny because October 10th is when you have Jupiter going into Scorpio, which is a real intense time, also in your house of partnership. So you could either turn up the intensity of this, or you could turn up the intensity of this. Which one do you want? Do you want to feel more anguish? or especially mental anguish, or do you want to feel more that your heart is just being filled? So really choice of who you focus on there. Also, you have another 9 following this, so there's something that you're releasing, something that you have the opportunity to complete. It's ending. 9 of Wands is the Survivor card. This is what I call the Cool Hand Luke card, where he keeps getting knocked down but keeps getting back up. And whenever I see this card, I always mention a Buddhist saying that says, fall down 7 times, stand up 8. That's really the message of this card. It's a card of determination, of survivorship, of resilience. You're really getting that around the new moon in Libra, in your 6th house. So it's kind of like your determination knows no bounds right around that new moon, and you're forming potentially new equitable relationships right around that time anyway, especially with your day-to-day routines or your health. So you kind of have this sense of, I don't want to keep getting knocked down, but I'm going to survive whatever comes at me. I don't know why I'm getting this, but I'm getting this come at me, bro, feeling from this card. Like I can handle anything you bring at me. And then you also have this sweet, sweet Page of Cups energy showing up for you. Page is about communication. And this means feeling young, feeling open-hearted, connecting with your heart, and looking at what makes your heart leap. Looking at what makes you happy and passionate and joyful. I always say to look back to when you were a teenager, when this card comes up, and look at what really turned you on. Look at what lit you up. Look at what made you happy, made you motivated, inspired, infatuated. Because this card and this card are on the same trajectory. It goes from Page to, in order of maturity and development and experience, it goes from Page to Knight to Queen to King. So this is really like the older archetype and more experienced and more wise regarding matters of the heart. And this one is someone who's just discovering their heart or rediscovering their heart. So I'm going to encourage you to be open-hearted. You might find that you are infatuated with someone or something right around this new moon in Libra. It's just about being joyful, being open, and being willing is a really big word for this card. There's something that has to do with potentially joint finances or being flexible and adaptable to changing circumstances. 2 of Coins is a card that is about finding balance. And it's in the Rider-Waite deck, which is one of the standard decks. He's standing on 1 foot, and he's trying to balance these 2 elements. And he's considered the juggler card. So on the high side of this card, it means having a sense of humor, adapting to changing circumstances, being flexible, sort of laughing at life, rolling with the punches, going for it, having a sense of humor. And then on the low side, it can mean feeling off balance, feeling stretched thin, like feeling like you have too much to juggle, or feeling like you have to, you're barely making ends meet. Whereas on the high side of this card, it can be that not only am I juggling all these balls, but watch me do it on 1 foot. So it's really a card about attitude, finding balance, and your ability to be flexible and adaptable. So that's showing up for you towards the end of the month. Potentially joint finances. Sometimes this card has to do with people managing things together or bringing things together, balancing of 2 energies. And then at the end of the month, there's a focus on your home. There's something about your home that may feel topsy-turvy towards the end of the month, unstable. The similarity between the 2 of these cards is instability. And in fact, all 3 of these can present that. The Page, because the Page is, if you think about the emotional stability of like a teenager, they've got raging hormones going all over the place. So there's something that I'm getting for you towards the end of the month about instability with these, but what can really serve you is the message of this card is to just, if you find that like say the ship in this is going up and down on these waters of emotion, find a way to be flexible, find a way to be like a palm tree that bends in the breeze and not rigid. The great thing about this card is it's completely not rigid. So it bends, it doesn't break. If you're feeling any sort of instability, emotional, financial, or security, home-wise, any of that, because that's potential with this, then the real opportunity or the goal is to just be flexible, adapt, laugh at things, work with it. Work with what's coming at you instead of against it. Because this can say you're not experiencing joy, festivity, love, security because you're fighting against it, potentially. There's something going on with the home or your sense of where your place is. Maybe you just don't know where you want to be or what's going on in the home. But I'm going to say, roll with it. See if you can compromise. That's another two word is find the balance. Find out where there's a happy medium. And maybe adapt a sense of fun and playfulness, because that's definitely something that both of these cards, if you're going through something where it feels like you're just getting knocked over, like the waves are coming at you and hitting you again and again, adopting this sense of playfulness is really going to help you through that. So that's basically my reading for you, Taurus, for the month. You've got a lot of yellow here. It shows that you have this optimistic, sunny disposition, especially with how you're opening the month. A lot of confidence, a lot of authority. Just see if you can carry that through and make a decision about where you place your attention and your mind in the middle of the month, because it can have very different outcomes. And then if you feel like if you're releasing something with a 9 here and a 9 here, really adopt this playful, balanced approach and this feeling of adaptability, because if you're feeling any instability, that's going to really serve you.